there's an interesting phenomena that happens with light. One day I was sitting in my office at home and I had closed the blinds so it was dark so I could see my screen better. And as I was sitting there, I could see light bouncing around on the wall just across from me. I could see things passing by, and fascinated, I got up and walked over to the wall. The closer I got, the clearer things got. I could make out figures. I could see cars driving by, the wheels turning on the cars. I could see people walking their dogs and trees blowing in the wind. I turned around to the wall where the blinds were, and I looked at the blinds that I had closed, and there was one blind, just one that was wedged differently than all the others, creating a small hole for light to pass through. I'd never seen this before, so like the good millennial that I am, I got on Google and quickly typed weird light projecting on my wall. I learned that what was happening was that the hole in my blinds created what's called a camera obscura. I had essentially created a pinhole camera that was projecting what was happening on the outside inside. This reminded me of what Jesus was speaking to his disciples and the multitudes about in Matthew chapter 5, the Sermon on the Mount. He said, "You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It's no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." At the time, Jesus was going against all of what religion had told us in the world was right. He called us to be salt and light of the world. And that call to action wasn't just directed to religious leaders, the temples, or people high up in the church. He was speaking to normal people like you and me. Jesus was speaking to people who were searching for something. They were searching for meaning bigger than anything they had ever known, bigger than their religion. Religion in those times and still today really is just a construct, guidelines or rules of what we need to do to obtain God's love. You know, I was listening to a message from Erwin McManus, and he said something that stuck with me. He said, "Any God that forces you to earn his love is not worthy of your worship." I believe that our faith and relationship with Jesus doesn't qualify as a religion. Here's why. Jesus didn't come to tell us what we need to do to get to God. He came to show us what God would do to get to us. Looking at our world today, it might be easy to say, hey, there's so much going on. There's a global pandemic. There's inequality and violence. My loved one is sick and suffering. Bad things are happening to good people. How could a God of love let all of this happen? But because Jesus came to show us the lengths that God would take to get to us, we know that God's not just sitting on the clouds somewhere, detached from everything. He's here, and he's still trying to get to us every day. It might look different from how we'd imagine, but God uses people, relationships, and circumstances to speak to and to speak through us. You are the salt of the earth. Joshua 1:9 is a reminder of this. "Have I not commanded you, be strong and courageous? Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." You know, Jesus painted the truest picture of what it means to live a life for God, to be the salt and the light to those around us. The Bible documents and tells Jesus' story for the 30-some years he was here on earth, but from the moment he died, rose again into today, we are the truest picture of what that story continues to tell. You are the light of the world. I think we're a lot like that hole in my blinds where the light, even in the tiniest fraction, can come in and shine a picture of the outside world. But instead of our light projecting what's on the outside, our light should be projecting what's on the inside outward.